If they win today's duel against INTZ, FURIA guarantee their place in the next Copa Elite 6. And a victory from FURIA can almost be expected. After all, of the last 2 times these teams faced off in the BR6, FURIA left with 3 points. And in their last meeting, the 7-1 scoreline left no doubts about the superiority of Twister's players.
E o Raiz vai tentando buscar essa vitória para a equipe da INTZ, mas tá difícil, tá impossível, porque o Lenda garante a eliminação final.
Nosso confronto contra a INTZ na última vez foi bem tranquilo para nossa parte. A gente inclusive se surpreendeu com o mapa que caiu na map pool. A gente não esperava esse mapa porque a gente tinha informação que não era um bom mapa deles. E a gente simplesmente fez o nosso jogo e finalizou a partida o mais rápido possível.
A gente não conseguiu impor nosso ritmo de jogo e a gente acabou tomando round a round, foi meio que um snowball e a gente acabou perdendo a partida.
And for the INTZ boys, not much has changed since the beginning of the BR6. The team keeps swinging between the last 3 positions in the table, and they seem to have no ability to leave this uncomfortable position. Anyways, even if remote, INTZ still have a chance to qualify for the Copa Elite 6. If they want to take advantage of this slim chance, the least they could do is approach their match more prepared to try and surprise FURIA.
Hoje contra a FURIA, cara, a gente vai vir mais preparado, a gente tá mais preparado e acho que vai ser mais tranquilo o jogo.
Acredito que vai ser um jogo um pouco mais disputado, eles estão com uma line agora um pouco mais de tempo juntos, eles tiveram um título agora da Copa do Brasil e com certeza eles não vão dar o vacilo de deixar um mapa que eles não são bons de novo.
INTZ have an urgent need for victory, and to taste the tranquility that those avoiding relegation already have. Will INTZ be able to overcome FURIA for the first time in the BR6? We're about to find out in the following match between INTZ and FURIA.
Welcome back to coverage of the BR6 here, Riley Knight at the helm as we get underway with our 7th day of play in stage number 3. I'm joined by Gio and Ollie, and our next matchup, you two, of course, is INTZ versus FURIA. I want to get your thoughts on this matchup. During the break, we were talking about the fact that both of these teams were involved in 7-1s last week, although in slightly different circumstances for the two of them.
Yeah, involved is certainly one way to put it, especially for INTZ. They did come up against Team 1, so it was never going to be an easy game. We've seen INTZ have a very mixed stage so far. But honestly, inside of this game, it's pretty clear-cut to me how it's going to go. INTZ are that team that have been struggling. Again, another stage where they've struggled to field a consistent side. And obviously that's, no slight against them. It's nothing that they can really control. It's not a circumstance they can understand. But it obviously never really helps out too much.
Well, Gio, let's talk through the map bans here as we have a look at where we're actually going to be seeing these two teams square off against each other. FURIA, one of the few teams along with Team 1 and FaZe that have only dropped a single game or a single match throughout this stage play. They're in great touch at the moment.
Yeah, and that was an 8-7 against NIP as well. So it wasn't even like that was a brutal loss or anything. That was over on Coastline, which straight away has been taken off. So clearly the only place that FURIA have a weakness has been gone. Oh, I guess FURIA are going to win. No, I'm just kidding. INTZ have always been kind of this developing team as well. So where we go for them, I think is going to be a challenge anyway. But we now... Okay, we now know that we're going to be going to Chalet, which I think, how do we say this euphemistically, is a good map for FURIA.
Okay, so we're going to try to be diplomatic here, are we, Ollie?
Yeah.
Ollie, what's the most diplomatic and the kindest way you can phrase this map pick here?
Well, here's the thing, Riley. Both of these teams are good at Chalet. INTZ, they did very well in the Copa do Brasil on Chalet, but FURIA, of the last 3 months, haven't lost a single Chalet. They have beat the likes of Liquid, they have beat the likes of MIBR, they've beat the likes of Navi. It really isn't a map that you really want to take FURIA to. Obviously, FURIA have made that decision there. They have had the last choice. They could have gone to Clubhouse, but they instead have chosen Chalet. Now, we haven't seen anywhere near as much Clubhouse as we usually would do inside of a regular stage. That tells me it's being saved for the LATAM League Finals, being saved for the Copa Elite 6. But at this game, here and now, I mean, FURIA, they've got to be favourites. Unbeaten, Riley.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't... When you were like, oh, they haven't been beaten on this map, it's like, well, how have they played? You know, you can
have they played it
trick
once?
people.
Yeah, no, they've not played it once. They've played it like
Yeah.
6 times.
Exactly right. So they're in great form. They're on a map that they're going to consider themselves very, very comfortable on if recent records are any indication. And Gio, at this point, I mean, what is it? What is it that INTZ has to do to try to get a sniff of victory at this game? It's going to be a tough one for them.
Yeah, I mean, winning would be a good start.
So that's why she gets the big bucks. That's why she gets those coverage big bucks, because that's the sort of analysis you can expect from Gio.
Exactly. I mean, I think, especially historically on this map in particular, it feels like a bit of a cop-out to say it, but one of the real big parts of Furia's success has always been the way that Fantasy plays on this map. And he is kind of like, he leads the charge, he sets the pace on the way they play on almost anything, but Furia also just have always had this really interesting playstyle on this map as well, where everything is about windows. Like, everything they do is going to be based around windows. I think that if INTZ can read into those two things, have really good window control and really good fantasy control, then that's going to set them up for success as best they possibly can.
The two factors that often go into people's minds coming up against Furia: window control, of course, very important, and then fantasy control as well. I mean, something that just, in broadly speaking, in life is a very useful skill to have. Anyway, looks like we're about to get underway here and chuck it down to our game. INTZ versus Furia. We're going to get underway. And the casters, of course, it's Gio and Ollie.
Thank you, Riley. We're ready to hop into game number 2 now. A little bit of Chalet for our viewing enjoyment. INTZ versus Furia. INTZ starting things off here on the attack. Furia haven't wasted any time. I'll tell you what, Gio. If there is any indication of how a game is going to be played or how confident a team is going into a map, it's a defensive team banning Nomad as the first ban and forcing the attacking team to ban the Thatcher. Like, if that is just not the most alpha male banning phase we've ever seen, I don't know what is.
The alpha team are the defensive team that ban Nomad and force you to ban Thatcher.
It's true.
Oh my goodness. I mean, look, if you're Furia, you are the Chalet Chad. You're the Chad of Chalet. You're the Ch-Ch. You know?
They've even banned the Jaeger.
What is going on?
What are they doing?
What?
Honestly, in my head, that was a no ban or like a Jaeger or a Mozzie ban or something like that. It was either like, yeah, you think we need this? Nah, you're mistaken. Or it was like, nah, no ban. We'll just no ban this and we'll just see how we roll.
No ban is the alphaist. That's like the alpha plus plus.
I think there's a team in one of the sub-leagues. I think it's the Suda Mexicano or something like that just didn't ban anything all season.
The Sudamericano.
Sudamericano, yeah. They just didn't ban anything.
South Mexico does not have its own league.
I don't know which one it was, Gio, but there was one team that just didn't ban anything, anytime. So it was like really skewed when they got into the Copa Elite 6. But yeah, what a phase from Fury. They've already given us our money's worth here inside of this one. And,
oh my god, I'm excited for this game.
I mean, Chalet sometimes is attacker-sided. You know, it flips and it flops, and there's not really a clear indication. It varies region to region. It's one of the more sort of temperamental maps like that. But INTZ have got a chance here at picking up a couple of early rounds.
Listen, all I'm going to say is that at least they're bringing a hard breach.
True.
I can respect that. That is a decision that I'm happy with. Yeah, it's certainly going to be a challenge for INTZ, but, you know, to be honest, we don't know what it is that they've prepared. Maybe they have predicted the Nomad Jaeger ban, and they have it all mapped out in their head. We simply do not know all of these answers yet, Oliver, and we've got to find out. But I do think it's going to be an upwards climb for INTZ, and I suspect that Furia feel exceptionally comfortable with the position they're in right now.
It's about whether that confidence is going to get too much. And that's obviously something that could happen. And INTZ are a team that are more than capable of punishing that overconfidence. We see Rare taken out there as First Blood. We didn't get to see the circumstances in how he actually fell. INTZ have tried to approach in through the garage, but the utility spread here from Furia is far and wide. They've actually got a jammer, I believe, on that garage door. Lender looking to try and keep a control of that garage. So a bit of time and a bit of utility expended there. Fantasy pretty much do what he likes here, not having to worry about that Nomad. So he's going to be way off and out there. And INTZ forced into this very thorough full map clear. So they've been able to get down into garage open, but aside from that, hasn't really been all too much else that they've been able to accomplish. Nade going to come in, but will get caught out there by the Magnet. Isa's probably got a couple more of those dotted around as well to keep him safe. We could stay on those at the top of those main stairs just outside a fireplace for quite some time. First blood comes in for FURIA as Miracle is able to grab that kill onto the NX. But again, an equal 1-for-1 trade. And in fact, an advantage here for INTZ. Fantasy now having to pull off quite an impressive clutch, and he won't be able to do so. Vitz, what a round. INTZ, they take round number 1.
Yeah, that was a... That was a really impressive round for Vitz, and the reason I'm laughing is just the surprise in your voice. You come in this FURIA fanboy, you're like, oh, look at this is going to be crazy for FURIA, and then you're like, oh, that was a really good round for Vitz.
Yeah, like, what do we know? Nothing. That's the answer.
No, that was great, and I did say maybe they had it all up their sleeve. They've just hyper-programmed Vitz to be on a roll today. We'll see if that can continue through for the rest of the game, but certainly a good way for INTZ to start. I do really want to see them give FURIA a run for their money, particularly after these really jammy bans that FURIA have put in. If they can just knock them down a peg or two, that would be funny to me.
It would. It would be a really big, like, don't underestimate us again. Because we have seen teams underestimate, you know, and it happens... pretty much I feel like it happens every stage, Gio, where one of the top dogs will really underestimate a team at the bottom of the table, and the result will be really sort of skewed and flipped, and they just won't perform on the day. Now, that's not to say that's what's going to happen here. We've seen one round so far. We haven't seen a lot of siege. But it is something that does happen, and we've said it a lot of times. I will continue to say it about LATAM, and that is that there's quality from top to bottom. And anybody can beat anybody on their day. It really just depends on how these teams show up. And it just so happens that the more consistent ones are at the top. But it doesn't mean that you can count teams like INTZ out. See how they choose to approach this round as they're going to be attacking into the kitchen. FURIA have gone... I don't want anything to do with bar and stop. I'm going to be... bar and games, excuse me. We're going to be hitting that kitchen site instead.
Bar and stock. Now there's a site. On this map, though. We'll see if INTZ can do it again. Again, this is another one of those sites where you really want to be taking control of the upstairs of the site. You can see a lot of those FURIA silhouettes just chilling out. There was one caught on the drone too. So INTZ are doing well for this intel gathering, coming in through library. Got to make sure that the top floor is pretty clear. Of course, that's why it's a good idea to come in from that side. You don't want to have accidentally left the defender out who comes and, you know, messes you up a little bit later. And these Geminis, well, he managed to ping out the mute jammer before the Gemini got shot. They'll definitely help with the intel that's going to come through. Opening up the office wall as well. Getting control of office is super important because that's, of course, how you get control of the vertical angles into the site below.
FURIA seems to be taking a much more passive stance inside this round. Monitor is going to be gathering a little bit of intel on that drone. INTZ is stalling out as well, you know, and they haven't really got the time or the luxury to be able to do so. Time is continuing to tick. There's still a minute left for them to make something happen. Just get the impression that FURIA aren't really well shepherded around at the moment here, and that's demonstrated there by Fantasy. Finding two. How does he pick the second? What is going on? INTZ, they're just throwing bodies at him, and he is hitting every single shot. Fantasy had no business finding one, let alone 3 of those kills. Finally.
4?
But finally, is he going to find this ace?
5?
What have we just seen?
So what, like, Vitz got was it a 4K in the previous round, and then Fantasy just aced this one?
Well, Fantasy aced that one from, like, everybody knew where he was.
Yeah, but Ollie, didn't I say at the beginning that Fantasy, like, that's the strat. Get rid of him. You can know where he is. Everyone knows where he is, but you still got to get rid of him. That's the strat.
Honestly.
And INTZ didn't do it. They didn't employ the strat. They should have listened to the pre-game segment, which I'm pretty sure is against the rules, but they should have done it anyway.
I believe we've got a replay of the ace, at least the bits that we caught on the... So we can see the first kill comes through, fine. Not really too mad about that. It's more every single kill after that. It's the second and the third and the fact that...
He didn't stray too far from his original position.
He didn't. He was just doing 360s. He was basically on the same sort of 3 meter like square of map, 3 square meters of map, and then just doing 360s, like turning this way, turning that way. It was a very unexpected one. I don't think that anyone would expect Fantasy. I mean, you know he's capable, but you've got to give a bit of benefit to INTZ to try and find that kill.
I know this is entirely unfeasible, but I just love the idea that now on each side of this, there's only going to be one player who's picking up the kills. Like, I want to end this with, you know, Vitz is going to have like 30 kills by the end, and Fantasy is going to have like 32 or whatever, and then everyone else on 0.
That'd be nice.
I just think it'd be funny. I don't think that it's going to continue on that way, unfortunately. But it's always nice to start off with a lot of kills. Hornet out takes a ton of damage here. Again, Fantasy. He's going to back off.
My mind is just reeling with like a show match idea of that, where the other 4 people aren't allowed to have guns out. They've just got to walk around with like the pistol, and they can run and they can melee stuff. They can make rotations, but they can't kill anything. And there's only 2 people, 1 person either side. That's like, it's a great idea for a show match, Gio. We need to make it happen. I think it's feasible. I'm not sure how feasible people, or 2 people only getting kills is inside of this game, because it feels as though INTZ are going for a very similar approach to what we see FURIA do, and by extension, what we've seen Liquid do in the past. One of the things that makes FURIA so good at Chalet is they play it very similarly to how Liquid plays Chalet, and that is dominating the window play. Now this time it's worked out for INTZ. They've actually been able to snag themselves a kill on that window. Miracle has fallen, a C4 gone with him. And this sort of lack of committing to the site or to the map isn't a bad thing. You can catch so many players out on those rotations, but you have to do something to force the players to move. And that's what Zach's going to be trying to work with now as he moves on through. But again, he's going to have Fantasy to deal with. And we've already seen what he's capable of today. Is he going to find himself 2? Yes, he is. Locking on to heads like it's nothing. The diffuser down as well. The Lion Scam roots him in place, but he takes out Hornet Tower as well. How does he know he's there? It can't be back-to-back aces in back-to-back rounds. Fantasy's thirsting after this next one. He's just decided, you know what? I'm going to guard.
No one else is allowed.
No one else is allowed to get this kill. Fantasy has to land it, and he will. He gets a second ace. Back-to-back aces, Gio. We have never seen this before.
I told you it's just going to be him who gets the kills every single round. That's it. Dude, if this goes to 8 rounds, let's say this is a 7-1 game. Fantasy got his first ace on round 2, so we can expect 35 kills from him.
Is that now his expected performance?
35 kills is the expected. That's 7 rounds of aces.
I mean, if you've done it twice, why can't you do it 3 times?
Oh my god. What even is the statistical like? This is just ridiculous. We get...
It's just aim trainer.
Oh, and look, it's all on Windows. Told you.
Fancy is literally playing aim labs out here, and everyone else is in like competitive, like everyone else is in a comp match. And Fancy's just like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna flick. It's the accuracy as well, because here's something that we can really start to, you know, gas him up now. He's got 2 aces in a row. We know what Fantasy's capable of. Currently sitting 10-1, and we're only in round 4. That is nuts in itself. Another thing that is extremely impressive. All right, he's doing it with the Roni. And anyone that knows me knows that I'm a little bit of a skeptic when it comes to that gun. I think it's a great weapon, but I think it's too good. However, something that you've got to bear in mind here. Fancy is getting back-to-back kills with this thing, and he's able to do so because he's landing headshots every single time. It sounds like a small thing, but if you're going to go for multi-kills like that with the Roni when you've got barely any ammunition in the magazine, you need to be going for these headshots. And he's got such good trigger discipline at bang, flick, get the headshot, flick, get the second headshot, safety, reload, and then repeat. I think one of those kills in the back-to-back aces that we've seen hasn't been a headshot. That just goes to show how accurate this guy is, as well as how skilled.
I mean, yeah, you don't even... that is absolutely a really, really good point. But I think even if you were someone who'd never played Siege before, you don't know anything about the Roni, you don't know anything... Just knowing that he hit those shots alone is so impressive.
Unbelievable.
It is so good. I don't know. Well, the problem is now all the pressure is on him to do it again. Oh, he must be bouncing off the walls.
From what you can glean on, like, from his Twitter and stuff, and obviously it's difficult because it's all in Brazilian Portuguese, but I get the impression that he likes the sort of the pressure. You know what I mean? I think he thrives in that sort of a situation. Obviously, we'll see. We'll see how this continues, but I don't know that there's many other players that have done that inside of sort of regular season play. I mean, even at tournaments and stuff. I don't know of anyone that's got back-to-back aces. We'd have to dig through them and find out if it's ever been done before. But it's certainly not something that happens all the time. And I mean, the doubt that must be floating around in the back of INTZ's mind now, knowing that every single one of them has died to him 2 rounds in a row, and that they all could have done something about it. I mean, where do you go from that mentally?
Oh, Phantom, come on, dude. Gotta hit the shots. The pressure is on now. One thing I do... Oh, no! Oh, he didn't quite land it. I was gonna say, one thing I love about the way that he plays is the fact that he's so good at just flipping between these multiple angles. But right now, it's into a popping off. Zach, Vitz, Hornetow getting taken down, but this does not look like a momentum swing in the favor of FURIA.
Really doesn't. Miracle has got a lot of work to do along with Highs, and they're unable to do so. You could be excused at the moment for thinking that FURIA are a one-player team. Because if Fancy isn't getting the kills, these guys are falling apart, Gio.
Oh, hold on. There was one other player who has 1 kill up until this round. I don't remember who it was. So you can't count them out. Come on, Ollie. That's a kill. That's more kills than I get.
I mean, look at Fancy's kills, and then let's start the conversation. It was really nice, you know, that it was Zach that took him out, because Zach is another young gunner who came into the BR6 last stage and has really started to make a bit of a name for himself. The consistency isn't quite there yet, but you can just tell that he's another very talented player, and you can kind of throw him into that same category as like a reset, where you know that in a couple of years' time, they're just going to be incredible. Let's have a look and see who you've got. Miracle's got 3, and that's it. So far, Miracle and Fancy are FURIA.
Jesus. That's all I can say. All right, so what? Okay, we're back to kitchen. This was the first fantasy ace site.
Was.
And he looks like he's heading on up back to a similar position. He was like guarding down bathroom. Bathroom was his...
It was his bathroom.
Yeah. It was his bathroom. That was his zone. I'm just very curious. I'm just waiting with bated breath. That's why I'm not even really saying much. I'm just like, I just want to see.
To be honest, we just need to lock into Fancy's POV and just keep there until he either starts getting kills or dies. Because that's really what everybody wants to see at this moment in time. It's like, we just want to watch Fancy's POV and just see if he's going to be able to do it again. Not for any other reason than it would just be nice to see a player that gets 3 aces inside of 1 game. But I guess time will tell. INTZ are by no means out of this one. Like, this is still a very winnable game, and I think that FURIA need to start to find a little bit of that confidence from their other players, because, you know, we joke about, you know, Miracle and Fantasy being the only 2 players with kills, but 5 rounds into the game, sure, Fantasy's had 2 aces, but he didn't have to. You know, he's not had to have that many kills so far. There's been plenty of opportunity for the other guys to get involved as well, and they've just not really been enabled in that same way. So INTZ are doing some things right, and it's about whether they can continue. And who knows, if they're actually able to clear out this top 4 this time, they may see a little bit more success. But at the moment, they're taking a long time to do anything.
Ooh, first kill going to INTZ. Maybe they're going to start pulling things back. It wasn't on the Fantasy, though. Highs hasn't had a single kill just yet, so... And given that he's playing an operator whose utility goes down a little bit earlier, it's not a huge problem either, but Vitz to follow up. At this point, so many of these rounds are so momentum-based. Rare, how did you even get a Hornet out? What are you doing? Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm about to set an expectation and suddenly it's all changing. I was gonna say so many of these rounds have been momentum-based, so you would assume that it would be going towards INTZ purely because of those opening kills, but it's been evened out now already. And Vitz has been a pretty significant player for INTZ so far, so for him to be down isn't great. Fantasy's quite low on health, though, so he's going to be limited for his options.
Miracle will use his last Toxic Babe onto those Solarium stairs, so... It's an angle that doesn't really have to be worried about at the moment. Fancy knows there's still going to be players upstairs. Instead chooses to drop, recognizing that he needs to try and stop this plant from going down, as that's the way that this round is going to be won here by INTZ. Miracle hits the swing, lands the shot, and that's Diffuser down, picks up the second as well. Rare finds his first kill of the game onto Drunks. Not a bad one there. Pick up. Did lock the round in. With the time so low and the Diffuser cold on Solar Stairs, it was very unlikely that INTZ were going to be able to get anything done. But FURIA stand firm and eventually lock it out in another way other than by Fantasy.
They're diversifying. They're bringing new ideas into the team.
And it's good. I was getting a little bit worried, Gio, because the First Blood has been something that INTZ is so consistent with.
Yeah.
That FURIA are just not even looking anywhere near in that first engagement. I'm not sure how they're giving themselves away so quickly. We're not always getting to get a clear picture of it. But even that engagement upstairs, Vitz shutting Lender down. It's not an engagement that Lender should win, but it's one that he certainly could.
Could have. Yeah. It's the whole converting the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying in that round. I was like, right, INTZ have had these first 2 kills. I'm fully expecting them to take the rest of the round. So for FURIA to have actually come back, stunted that momentum, and turned it back onto INTZ, that felt like the first round the way they actually did that.
Well, let's see if FURIA can come out of this at an advantage or not. They could potentially finish this at a 4-2 split. INTZ have the opportunity to equal things up here as well, so we'll have to see. Master bedroom and office is the site that has been chosen. Not too worried for the side switch. We see the opening kill go in favor. I think that's part of the problem, you know, Gio. Rare is just so aggressive onto that main window. And we saw him the first pick last time, in round number 1. I don't think he's been first pick since, but just even putting yourself into that harm's way is a bit of a problem.
Well, he didn't even come away with any damage in that altercation, so I'd say that's good. That's a good thing. So, yeah, back to Master. Just to bring that one up. Which, again, this was the second Fantasy Ace site. Miracle had a pretty good round in that last round, so maybe we'll see some more of that from him. I think the fact that Rare is still out and about, this is pretty big. But look at all these trades. The shotgun from Miracle. They knew that he was right there and Lender to follow up as well, but it's still back and forth. 2 players remaining. Made that 1 player remaining for INTZ, and it's all on Hornet Owl.
Who else but Fancy to pick that final kill up? A messy round by all accounts. I think that INTZ really tried to rush that, and FURIA were just ready for them. Miracle has been putting in work with that shotgun. It's back-to-back rounds now that we've seen him get 2 kills just with the shotty, and it really isn't as easy as just lining them up and knocking them down. The timing is crucial, and you could see him getting the kill, dipping away, getting the kill, hitting that repeat, and being very successful with it. A little bit of frustration maybe from INTZ. They've played a very slow and considered attacking phase up until that last round, and they really just tried to rush it, and I'm not entirely sure why. They're sort of slow and steady and in an attempt to win the race has really been working out for them. But in that round at least, they went for something with a little bit more speed, and we all saw how it went. So FURIA will finish their defensive phase with an advantage. 4-2 split. This is where they can really start to reap some of those benefits of the slightly quirkier bans that they threw out. You know, obviously the Nomad ban is something that they took advantage of on the defense, but that Jaeger ban, we see a lot of Jaeger played from INTZ, and maybe it's going to be enough just to knock a few people off.
Yeah, this one could hurt. Just having a look at the operators that FURIA have brought, there are a lot of nades. There are a lot of nades.
Are there 8 nades, though? This is an important question.
No, there can't be. Because that would be 4 people, in which case you can't have 3 people with flashes. So you got 6 nades.
It's a test every time.
It is. Well, yeah, the thing is 4 plus 3 is 7. There's 2 extra players. There's no one there who, you know, unless they're changing the way that Rainbow Six is played, there aren't 2 other players on the team. So, but they do still have a ton of nades. 6 is a lot of nades. It's especially a lot of nades when you're not going up against any kind of impeding utility.
It really is, and there's a reluctance to play a Wamai, and I'm unsure why, but you would think that a Wamai would be a good pick. First kill going to go traded 1-for-1 as Highs will eventually find something here. That was his first kill of the game so far. He's arguably given himself up, especially on the Flores. Not really got to see too much of use from the drones out of him just yet. Fantasy doesn't want to pop the Aruna gate, doesn't want to give the game away just yet, but there's going to be a bit of information on him. Rare moves through. He's probably going to try and open up that breach. On the Maverick, it would be relatively easy to get something open, although Rare isn't making it look pretty. Certainly potential for nades to come on in as well. Lender, great little fadeaway down onto Hornetow. He may not know it yet, but E1D at least in the root players in spot. Bits, not concerned, goes for the C4. The wall is still being attempted to be opened here. Fancy cleans up kill from earlier on. That would be the one that Lender got down. Rare, what is that? That is the messiest breach I think I've ever seen, Gio.
Tidy that up. Do it again.
It looks like a rhombus.
What's wrong with a rhombus?
Just time consuming to make. Look at the state of it.
It is, yeah, it's a curious one. But yeah, whatever. Let the man live. Oh, Fantasy, you could have let him live. VNX didn't even know. Did not even know. Fantasy's just getting in there. But back onto Miracle. One of those other big players for FURIA. These back and forth. Why are these players from INTZ just showing themselves through lines of sight? That is the 3rd time that has happened in this round. And Fantasy is fully going to take advantage of that.
He's honestly 10 steps ahead every single time. The game sense is incredible, and the information that he's obviously being fed is certainly working out for him there. Those last 2 again. You know, there's a degree of he's getting lucky here in this game. There's a degree of this is his game, but he's also in the right place at the right time. It's not every day that you rock up against a smoke and he's actually got a Toxic Babe canister in his hand, but that's the sort of timing that Fantasy's on today. Everything is just working out perfectly, and he's taking full advantage of it. 5-2 scoreline as it currently sits. Another successful round for FURIA. They were in no danger, really, in terms of that last round. They had a lot of things going for them. They had time, they had man count, and a lot of the control. INTZ, where are you going to find ground? That is the question now. You need to start to make something happen, make a little bit of a change. Is it going to come from the basement? That is where they'll be taking us.
You know, it's almost weird to think that this is the first time we've seen the basement in this game, just given how much we saw it last week.
It was all the time, wasn't it?
Teams were digging the basement, dude. They loved it.
Yeah, MIBR were very fond.
Well, we'll see how this one is going to go. Again, it's curious because, you know, Maverick's your only hard breacher. Probably not who I would pick. If I were taking a solo hard breacher, I don't think I would go with the Maverick to be attacking onto the basement. Feels like there's too much that you got to get open, and especially if you want to be getting something like the snow door open, an exothermic charge is always going to be like so much better. But we'll see what they can do with the resources they have. Better than no hard breach.
See how Rare's Rhombus goes this round. What a nade from Fantasy. Goodness. Zach has been taken out of the picture. That extended roam that INTZ are trying to employ, not really working out for them. Miracle has just got the freest intel of his life on the drone, and Vitz hasn't seen it. He's so preoccupied with the hopping. Eventually, does take the drone out. Maybe trying to bait something out there. Hornetal going to be the next player to fall. By the time that FURIA get to side, there is going to be nobody there. With the way that INTZ are giving themselves up on the roam, it really is time to get themselves back down to site. But Drunks is going to try and double down. He says, you know what? They're not going to expect this now. I'm going to make that rotation. I'm going to try and get myself upstairs. I'm going to be the only one to do it, though. VNX and Vitz are both firmly on the site. Drunks may be giving himself away there, but it seems that Highs didn't hear that audio cue. He'll root himself in place. Vitz chance at a Gemini, but he's only going to give himself away by doing so. Drunk's eventually going to drop down, or is he still thinking better of it? Desperate to try and waste as much time as possible and give his team a fighting chance here.
I mean, FURIA are looking pretty damn strong at this point. And just because of the nature of the site, it's very big. There are a lot of entrances to it. This is going to be very hard to defend against the full 5 stack when there's just 3 of you remaining. Think of this area. You've got Elbow, you've got Blue, you've got these different staircases. You've got down towards Trench, you've got up towards the main stairs. There's so many places. That was a beautiful shot, though, I have to say. But FURIA coming back in with another 2 just leaves Drunks on his own, and he's upstairs. So he's... I was going to say, he's going to have to reconcile with the staircase, but didn't even get a chance.
I think we always knew that Drunks was going to get caught off-site there. His attitude toward that final sort of half of the round was just, I need to be upstairs, I need to try and waste more time, but there were just too many ways that FURIA could slip on by him. Something else that's worth highlighting inside of that round was just how good FURIA's drones were. They had drones for everything, and I think that's in part one of the reasons why they're able to perform so well here. They just know exactly what is going on at any given moment. 6 rounds to 2 currently for FURIA. They are on that match point. Going to be attacking into bar. Seeing the Dokkaebi brought this time. Speaking of drones as well, just as that replay plays, I think that first kill that Fancy was able to get onto Zach with the nade, more than likely off the back of a drone. Obviously, it's a common spot. It's somewhere that's worth checking. You don't want to check it with a nade, but you'll check it with a drone and then nade it afterwards.
Yeah.
And again, it just goes to show how effective FURIA are at that information exchange, at how and where their drones are placed. And it's really giving them the edge here over INTZ.
Yeah, the way they've used it to support Fantasy as well has just been so good. I mean, the man has a KD of 9 right now.
No drones on defense though, and both of his aces were on defense, so there must have been other things there that were giving him that.
That's very true. That's very true.
Maybe it was
There's still
drones.
time though, Ollie. We got one more round. I mean, in theory, we could have many more rounds, but
I mean, that's like what I said last week when FURIA were playing. Let's see. We'll see how it goes. I believe though. I think there's potentially only one more round here. Certainly, INTZ haven't given us any indication that they're going to be able to really mix things up that much.
I do just want... Ooh, this is messy around the corner. He's going to be backing off. Finally lands the headshot. Nice. And then you worry about the camera. It just makes me wonder, at what point did INTZ start to think, oh man, going to Chalet was a bad idea?
Probably round 3.
Yeah.
I think it happened.
Ace number 2?
Yeah, ace number 2. I think it happened fairly early on. I mean, we're on for ace number 3 here because Fancy's found the first one. So, I mean, if there's a will, there's a way, right? He's making that rotation upstairs. His team are all with him. He's got plenty of people that can call out for him here. I guess it all depends on whether anyone from FURIA gets a kill first. That'd really be where the dream does start to die. But we can see INTZ, they're going to be holding on. They're occupying those usual zones with the Flores drones are going to be moving through to remove a lot of that utility, barbed wire, banshees, and shields. But a Toxic Babe canister to cut everything off for the meantime.
Still holding on to position upstairs is Vitz. He has also had a pretty decent game, although he's not on quite a 9 KD. And still with his shield there as well, so that's going to need clearing, and you can see this getting prepared now. Fantasy lobbing the nades down the stairs, but it gets caught in the Wamai disc. Doesn't actually do anything right now. Vitz is trying to hold on to the crossfire onto the window, but Fantasy just reacts very quickly, gets rid of him, and that's cleared so much space for FURIA.
It's also kill number 2, and now make it 3 as Fantasy is poised and ready for his 3rd ace of the game. He's going to pick up the kill onto VNX, and it's only Drunks that remains. His teammates have got to let him grab this one. Miracle, what are you doing? Miracle steals Fantasy's 3rd ace. I'm sure that he isn't going to mind too much. That is going to be GG. That wraps up the game. 7 rounds to 2. I mean, in my heart, Fantasy got 3 aces. You know, he was 1 kill away. It was like a 5 versus 1. There was the chance to make that happen, but he'll walk away with a guaranteed 2. What a performance. 22 kills, Gio.
What is that?
I've never seen anything like that in the 4.5, however many years it's been that I've been casting Siege. I've never seen a performance like that.
He's so chill as well. He's just like, yeah.
He's the coolest cat in town.
Oh my god.
What a game. What a game. What a result for FURIA. They're going to be extremely happy with that one. I'm sure that we'll get to speak to Twister soon, as Twister is usually their nominated interviewee. But really, you asked Joe if it was going to be a quick one. I said, yep, it's got the potential to be. Then we learn that the map's Chalet, and then we see FURIA play like that. I mean, I know that there was a couple of things that we sort of highlighted and pointed out, but ultimately, it was only ever going to one team.
Yeah. I mean, there were actually, like, points where INTZ were playing really well, but, you know, just... I don't know. It's like you take certain teams to certain maps, and you kind of like, why? It's like taking Space Station to Clubhouse back in the day. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why would you do that to yourself? What are you doing? So, probably a lesson learned from INTZ, but definitely fun to watch for both sides.
Yeah. I mean, enjoyable Siege nonetheless, and that's what we aim to bring here. We're going to bring Riley back in here, get him to, have a further conversation about this game, and obviously we've got that interview lined up with FURIA as well.
Jeez, we got our money's worth that round. I tell you what, that was incredible. Gio, the prognosticator extraordinaire here. She said it was going to be all about Windows and about fantasy.
Yeah, it's first show,
and 3 aces. We call it 3 aces. What is it?
Sam's not even told him
2.8 aces.
It's a disaster.
Am I still muted? Oh dear. I made some very.
There we go.
I made some very insightful and interesting.
I believe you.
I
believe you.
I'm not going to repeat them. Gio, a prognosticator, my friend, a prognosticator extraordinaire. You said it was going to be about Windows. You said it was going to be about fantasy. It was about exactly both of those things, mate. How did you know?
Well, it was a feeling. Actually, I got kind of like passed a little note, like in advance. No, I was in the scrims. No, it was that's just the way that FURIA have always played on this map. The window play isn't quite the same as it was back in stage 1, where they would just jump in and out of them like crazy people, but they still play so well around them on this map. And of course, fantasy, I don't think I need to say anything about that.
He was so chilled as well, like you said, Ollie. At the end of it, like, when I saw one of his teammates in the camera, I was like, what are you doing, man? Hey, get up and about, let's go. And he's like, It's a day's work for me, 2.8 aces. I mean, I get out of bed for that sort of stuff. It was an incredible performance from him. And one of the things I noticed in one of the games that they lost, that was when Fantasy was the first one to be put down, Ollie. So clearly containing that player would have been key for INTZ to actually get themselves into that game.
Yeah, I mean, Fantasy's had a game that's probably going to go down in the history books today. I think it was 22 kills, which in a 7-2 is pretty unbelievable. In 9 rounds of play to get 22 kills, I'm not sure if we've seen those kind of numbers. We'd have to, really go back and have a good dig, but that's it's some performance. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. An incredible showing from Fantasy, and well done to him. We're going to catch up with FURIA now. Let's have a talk to Twister, I believe, standing by, ready to tell us about what we've just seen and some of the perspectives from some of the players there. Twister, congratulations, mate. What a performance, particularly from your boy Fantasy. My goodness me, almost snagged himself 3 aces.
Hello to everyone. Man, I never seen this in my entire coaching career. As I said, 2 rounds in a row making an ace on the opponent team, it's unbelievable. When we saw it, we just said, man, what are you doing with the server? Because this boy is really, really good.
I mean, Twister, something that I wanted to sort of ask and sort of say is, were you guys expecting Chalet today? Because we know you to be a very good team on Chalet. That's going to be your 7th win on it in only the last couple of months. Were you kind of surprised that the INTZ took you to Chalet today?
No surprise at all. We were expecting to play Chalet or Clubhouse because it's the only maps that they would be allowed to play against us. Because I know the other coach very well, so we decided to pick Chalet because Clubhouse it's a little bit better for them. So as you saw the results, we got the power in the Chalet that we didn't have against them in the Clubhouse. That's why.
I mean, the bans as well were a little bit weird. As we were sort of laughing at the fact that you guys had banned the Nomad as the attackers, and then obviously the Jaeger ban coming in as well. It was, we thought that you were very, very confident, should we say, with those bans.
I believe that the game sense that we are trying to write in our team history is that you cannot make us play bad or poorly with a ban against us. We want to be known as a team that can play anything with everything and in any situations. We would like to be a team that it's really adaptive to every situation in the games, and I believe that kind of mindset will make us champions someday soon.
I mean, that's a really good attitude to have, I think, and it's been so crazy over the course of this year to see the growth of FURIA. I mean, how do you even just feel about the way the team is compared to like this time last year?
I just can't even compare because we were on a pretty bad situation the last time this year. We were fighting to not go to the relegation spot. We were at the 9th place and the 10th place, so we everything that we were doing in the server and the streams were not working. So it's really good for everyone and everyone's mindset to see that with hard work and the right way to work as a team, as a group, it really works. Because we were trying this last year, but some pieces of this puzzle were not fitting. So all these 5 boys are amazing and make all my job and all the Kizzy, our assistant coach job, easier. And the results are just the result of all of this.
Well, the results today speak for themselves. Twister, congratulations, a great win, and you'll have to pass on our best to Fantasy as well because he played his absolute guts out. Thanks very much for joining us there, Twister.
Thank you everyone.
Well, we're going to give you a chance to catch your breath after that round there. That was incredible. We're going to take a quick break, everyone, and get set up for our next match, which of course is coming away very shortly. It's the one that we've been looking for, Team 1 versus FaZe. These are 2 teams doing exceptionally big things at the moment in the BR6. We're looking forward to seeing what happens when they get stuck in head-to-head. So stick around, everyone. We'll be back with more Rainbow Six Siege after this.